Matt Lieto here, coming to you live from Nice, France, and we're going to do something a little bit different coming into the VinFast IRONMAN World Championship. And we're going to do a little behind-the-scenes version of the Ironman Insider presented by Morton, and I'm going to kind of bring you into what the athletes are used to doing before races. Obviously, you guys see our coverage live on race day with the athletes talking and documentaries after, and we get all those interviews before race day. So a few days out, we get to sit down and chat with all the athletes. Favorite part of my job, if I'm being honest. Absolutely love time with all of these athletes. So we're going to take you in just a few of our interviews throughout the day. There's going to be probably 15 or 20 athletes through here in the next 2 days, but we're going to take you into some of our key interviews, and we're going to start first up with Lucy Charles-Barclay, defending champion, and we're going to see what her mindset is going into defending her world championship in Nice. In Nice, for world championship, how much easier and fun is it to be just like a long drive or train right away?
Yeah, I mean, as a European athlete, it was literally less than a 2-hour flight to get here from London. So super smooth, really easy, was able to do some training in the afternoon. So yeah, I feel like it's quite a luxury just coming from London to come and race the World Champs.
Yeah, and you guys were out here in June?
Yes, yeah. So we came here in June to race Ironman France, but we did a 3-week training camp before the race just to get used to the area, do some swimming in Antibes. So it was just super nice. It all feels so familiar now coming back. It just feels really chilled. I cycled down on a line bike today, so almost feel a bit like a local, which is really nice.
How is Antibes? I haven't been over there yet.
Yeah, the pool there is amazing. They have a lot of the swimmers that train there are Olympic level. So when I was here in June, I was swimming with them, and I was literally at the back of the lane hanging on. So they are seriously good swimmers, but so friendly. I think they were really happy to have me in there, which is nice for swimmers to let a triathlete join them.
Right. Well, yeah. I think can you hang with them?
Just about. Still maybe class a bit as a swimmer as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So when you were back here in June for, you said 3 weeks before, was it kind of a test drive to see if it was actually something that you wanted to do? Because that wasn't your original plan this year, yeah?
Yeah, I think originally I was not sure how the course would suit me or whether I would like it. So we decided to come and ride the area, get used to everything, see what I found the course like, and almost instantly I was like, this is amazing. I love this. It's challenging, but it's fun, it's exciting. And actually, even when I did the race, I was like, it went so fast because you can break it down into little segments and there's always something happening that you're focusing on. And it was probably one of the quickest 180 Ks in what it felt like it went. It probably wasn't my fastest bike split, but it definitely went fast in my mind anyway.
There you go. Now you're just trying to get into people's heads. Oh yeah, it was fast.
It was my fastest ever bike split.
It was easy. It was hard. But yeah, I guess it's got to give you a lot of confidence. Obviously, now having a world title under your belt for the Ironman distance, and then getting around a course and being just kind of casual about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel really chilled about it. I think because I have come and done the race, it all feels familiar. I rode some of the course yesterday and I was like, yeah, I remember all of this. And you kind of know what's coming up next as well. So you know how hard to push a climb because you know exactly how long it's going to take you and what's coming next. So yeah, I think all of that will help me. I think it's still going to be super challenging. Obviously, when I raced before, it was still a competitive race, but this is the World Championship. So everyone's going to be pushing that bit harder. I hope to be pushing that bit harder as well. But yeah, it's going to make for a really, really good race and a great course.
Right. And did you guys have time to play tourist a little bit? Those 3 weeks that you were here, or explore a bit?
We didn't do much tourist things. It was pretty much mostly training. It was nice though because I had my parents here and the dogs, so it felt like a bit of a holiday with the family. They were going to the old town in Antibes and going in the market and all of that while we were swimming, so they did more of the tourist things. We did stop in Gordon, which is up on one of the climbs, and just look around the medieval village, which was amazing. On the top of the edge of a massive mountain is this village. So yeah, there's some amazing things to see on the course.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. And what is it about Nice? Obviously it's going to feel like a world champs, and it's starting to because everybody's coming into town, but it feels, I don't know if it's a distraction of that there's so many cool things and restaurants and stuff, but doesn't it feel calming to a certain extent, even though it's a big city? all the athletes to me seem like more relaxed, like they're on vacation almost.
Yeah, I think, well, whenever I go anywhere near the seaside, I kind of just feel quite chilled and relaxed anyway. But then I guess then you go a few streets back and like you said, there's lovely restaurants, it's really amazing shops, there's all different things going on. So you have a nice mix of that race intensity and excitement that's building, but then sneak back a few streets and you can go and get a nice coffee or just, relax a little bit.
Have you recently diagnosed celiac? Have you found like there's some rad like pizza places?
I have heard, some of the team from Ironman actually sent us to one of the best gluten-free pizza places. So we'll definitely be heading there pre-race and definitely post-race as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, earlier this year, we didn't have you and it didn't seem like you had Nice on the schedule. What was it that changed your mind about being a part of this World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, after the injury I sustained in Kona last year, I wasn't sure how my recovery would go. Would my body actually be able to cope with the demands of training for an Ironman, let alone doing an Ironman at that intensity? So I gave it a few months just to see how the training went and then did some racing and had some pretty good results. So I was like, maybe I should just come and try the course and see what I think. And I kind of, during that period, reminded myself why I got into the sport. And it was Ironman that got me into the sport. I loved that I was scared and excited by the challenge, and I think Nice does exactly that. I was scared of the course, but it also excited me, and I felt like if I could go and just do a test run and see how I felt, then maybe it would be possible to come and race the World Champs. And actually that kind of dry run went so much better than I expected that I was like, I have to go and do the World Championships. It's going to be amazing.
Right. That's rad. And is there a part of it that is, like a lot of times we talk about like post-race, like depression or like downs, because we have this like goal and you're like, okay, I did it. And now what? And it's not that winning Kona again isn't going to be a challenge, but as part of that, you're like, well, crap, like I did that. Now what do I do? And now there's like an opportunity to like try to be your best at a world level again. Is that part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it was such a journey from 2017 being the rookie in Kona coming second to then winning in 2023 and having another 3 second places after that. So it was, and a pandemic in there as well. So it was so many years before I finally got that win. And I guess I was so tunnel visioned on, I want to win Kona. That's what it's all about for me. So I definitely then did go through a period of like, well, what's next? Like I've been on this journey for so long. I need a new goal. And I didn't really know what that was going to be. And now I feel like it's definitely the Ironman World Champs here in Nice, because it's going to test me, it's going to challenge me, and I already feel like a better athlete for going on this journey, and I'm just proud to be on the start line.
Dude, that's so awesome. That's sweet. And talking about World Championships and second places there, there's someone that's been at the top of that step many times that isn't going to be here in Nice this year with Daniela. Like what does that feel like to you to not, obviously kind of last minute and disappointing for her, but how does that change the atmosphere and just your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Daniela is someone who's shaped my career. She's pushed me to be better. She's kind of been on the top step many times when I've been second, so I've been chasing that top spot, and she's definitely just pushed me every day in training to be that bit better. So it's really sad that she won't be on the start line here. She'll be greatly missed, and I really did want to have one last battle with her. I know she'll be here on the sidelines, on the other side of the race course, cheering us all on, which I think, again, will be an extra motivation to just push harder, knowing that she's there supporting and watching us all.
That's rad. I mean, this course would have been a good one for her, yeah?
For sure, yeah. I think she would have absolutely smashed this course. So, yeah, it's a shame we won't get to witness it.
And is there a part that's like, and I 100% hear you that it is a shame and you're bummed that but is there a part that's like, oh man, sweet, I don't have to try to race her on this course?
I don't think so. I've always wanted to race the best athletes, and I've loved racing Daniela throughout my career. And even if it meant I didn't get the win, I knew it meant I pushed and gave absolutely everything to do the best I could on the day. Yeah,
do you think you'd have the tools to have won the World Championship last year if you hadn't had to get yourself ready to try to beat Daniela those other years?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I guess if Daniela hadn't have been there in the beginning, I would have won the first time I went to Kona, and I probably would have been like, what now? I might have been doing a completely different sport, because it was it came straight away. But because I've been chasing and pushing and trying to be better and better, I think it it gave me more reason to push harder, but it also kind of broadened my spectrum of what I need to do across every discipline to be better. So probably then someone else would have come along and beat me if I hadn't have had Daniela to chase. So.
Right. So this course is obviously very, very different than where you've won World Championship before. Maybe more similar to where you won the 70.3, but still not quite as this is harder than that. How does that play into your strengths? Like, it's still going to be kind of front runner, kind of go from the gun and see the time you can get, or do you have to be more patient on this course?
Yeah, I think the start will be very similar. I mean, I can't really hold back much on the swim, so I'll probably be still out in front on the swim, I would expect. And then I guess it depends if I have any company on the bike, but I still, even with this course, it's a very individual bike course. Like, I think you have to pace yourself, you have to know your own strategy. If you get carried away and start riding with someone else, it could really kind of hurt your run. So this race, I think I'm just going to focus on what I set out to do, my own power, where I plan to push, where I plan to maybe ease back a bit, and yeah, hopefully be able to have a strong run at the end as well.
Right. I don't want to ask you to give away any of your race tactics or anything like that, but there's a lot of amateurs out here on this women's only race racing this course for the first time. You've raced it before and obviously trained on it a fair bit. What input would you give the person that's trying to get around that course, and a tough course, to have a great day out here?
Yeah, I think it's really important to break it down into sections. So if you have ridden the course before, it's quite easy to do that. If you haven't, you can go and watch the men's race from last year and kind of have a good look. But just looking at the course profile, you can see where the steepest bits of climbing are, where it's maybe less steep, and then obviously the more of a plateau in the middle. So yeah, definitely try and break it down into sections, know where you're going to be able to fuel, because it's really difficult to fuel when you're descending. So you're probably going to have to do most of that when you're climbing. So make sure you're getting enough energy in, and particularly that last descent takes out a big chunk of time. So probably, or definitely make sure you've eaten and fueled before you start that descent, because it will be difficult.
Yeah, people forget about that. You're if you're gripped to trying to hit the brakes as much as you can, you're probably not eating and drinking. And most Ironmans, people are pretty good at that. Okay, I got a run coming, right?
Yeah, need to be hydrated, because it's not going to be really, really hot on that run, but you're still not going to want to start a marathon dehydrated. So yeah, really important to be still thinking about that, even though you've got a technical bike course to ride.
Yeah. Okay, so you're obviously out here to try to defend your title, yeah? Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to wear bib number one. I feel really proud to be wearing bib number one. So yeah, I'm here to try and defend my title, definitely.
And is there anything you learned from the men's race, watching and kind of how that, panned out, and experiences that the men had out there that could help you try to be in front of your pretty tough competitive field out here?
I think it's all going to come down to my own pacing strategy. We saw in the men's race that the gaps blew up pretty quickly. It's not like on Kona where you can work with other athletes and ride at a legal distance but still get some advantage. We're going to be climbing, and when you're climbing, you're not really getting any draft benefit. So I just think it's going to be about pacing your own race and knowing that even if the gaps are coming down on the bike, people could be over biking and then they might not run as well. We might not see super fast marathon times here. Some of the men still did. But yeah, I just think, just stick to your own race plan and be confident in that.
And obviously, as you said, it's harder to, gain benefit from being in a group and having people to pace around. So that leans into your favor, as you clearly are kind of a front runner. That could also change who is actually your biggest competitor, right? So which athletes do you think are going to be the ones that you have to look out for, look over your shoulder at?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to know, really. I'd say, obviously, years gone by in Kona, you know what gaps and what groups there are in the swim, and then you know who's riding together, who's normally making time, who's losing time, and then you know what kind of run times people are running. Whereas here, we're almost all racing blind. All of us ladies have never raced each other on this course. So I think you're never going to discount someone like Annie Haug. She's going to be super strong. We saw her run a blisteringly fast half marathon here in June in the 70.3. So I don't think she's going to be affected by the bike course. I think she's still going to run super quick. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on her before I get on that marathon.
Awesome. And we know in the past you've had some motivations to try to win, right? Like, oh, if you win, you get a puppy, stuff like that. I'm sure there's no more puppies allowed as goals, but is there anything that you're like hoping to treat yourself to if you get your second world championship?
Well, I did turn 31 yesterday, so I feel like the win would be the ultimate birthday gift to myself.
There you go.
We also got our second dog when Reese turned 31, because apparently we heard in Utah on the radio that you hit peak spontaneity when you get to 31, so maybe we could get another dog. I'm looking at Reese for approval.
That's too many dogs. There's 3 dogs. That's a lot of dogs.
3 is a lot of dogs.
Who's watching the dogs at home right now?
My parents have them at the moment, but then my parents are coming out to watch the race, so then Reese's parents are going to have them during the race.
That's super. So do you have to clear the dogs with the parents first? Or?
Yes, yeah.
That's
Both
amazing.
parents are happy to have the dogs though.
Did Reese get you something nice for your birthday yesterday?
I think he might get me something nice if I win. So
Okay, good.
I have to win first.
We'll hold him to it. But happy birthday.
Thank you. There's a nice Hermes store next door, I think.
See, and this is when for the record, Reese didn't get her anything for her birthday, and he needs to
be fair,
step up.
I didn't get him anything for his birthday because I was preparing for the Ironman France here. So then I won the race, and that was his present. So.
There you go. Well, happy birthday. That's worked out well. That's awesome. Okay, World Championships always bring another level for an athlete, and you're an athlete that's won several now. What is it that motivates you for a World Championship? Why are they so important?
Yeah, I think I've always been an athlete who's good at peaking maybe once or twice in a season, and the key goal is the World Championship. So all of the energy, all of the focus can go into that. I find it very easy to do a solid block with a clear goal of this is the World Championships, this is what I'm training for. So I feel like it's been really easy to find that motivation for this race. I've also been really lucky to train with Clement and Marjolaine, who are local to Nice. I trained with them when I was here in June, and then they came out to Lanzarote to train with me there leading into this race. So I really feel like I found that enjoyment for training again. Like, I trained for Kona completely solo last year for 6 weeks, and it was brutal, whereas this year I trained for 6 weeks with other athletes, had a lot of fun, just really enjoyed it, and I feel like it's given me so much more energy. So I hope that I can just bring that happiness and energy into the race.
That's right. I imagine those two specifically bring a lot of that happiness, right?
Yeah, they just have that youthful energy. So I feel like, I've just really loved training with them. They have so much enthusiasm, so much passion, and I know both of them obviously want to race and do it at the highest level. It's been amazing to train with them as well.
I think that's great. What is it that makes this course so unique and challenging as a World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, the course itself is challenging. It just brings different dynamics. It means you have to fuel better, you have to be switched on the whole time. I find when I've ridden the course in Kona, I can just put my head down, look at the watts, this is what I need to do. Whereas here, I think I'm going to have to break it down more, I'm going to have to focus more, I'm going to have to make sure I'm fueling at the right time, making sure I really use the aid stations where they are, and then just be confident that I can run well off an extremely challenging bike course. But the run I'm probably most excited about, because when I was here in June, the atmosphere was just phenomenal. I think the French people just love getting behind a race. So I feel like this will be even better. It's the World Championships. We've got friends and family coming to watch. So I feel like I just want to absorb all of that energy on the run course.
That's awesome. And that's first scary for competitors to hear Lucy saying she's really excited for the run. And that also I think speaks to your development as an athlete. You can be excited about something that maybe in the past was you were looking over your shoulder, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think also it really helps that I had such a great race here in June. I had a really great run, so I can kind of channel that mental energy into it and be like, all I need to do is repeat what I did in June and I'll probably have a really great result. So fingers crossed I can do that.
That's awesome. People often think that the better athletes, it's easy for them, right? You're just up there and it's sunshine and rainbows and everything's fine, but you go through the same struggles as every other athlete. especially like speaking specifically to this course and like the challenges that will likely come out of it, what do those challenges look like to you? How do they like show themselves to you, like mentally and emotionally, and how do you get past that and keep looking forward?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is just focus entirely on myself. So I try not to worry about what any of my competitors are doing in the race, because they could be bluffing or they might just be having a phenomenal day that I can't do anything about. So it's about being confident in myself, trusting in my own ability, and know that I'm doing the best I can. I can't do any more than that. And it's sometimes difficult in an Ironman to stay positive for the entire duration of the race. I think that's almost impossible. You're always going to have little dark spots, little areas where you think, oh my God, can I do this? And maybe some doubts. But it's remembering what you did in training that got you here, that the fact that you are there, you should be proud of that, and just doing everything you can to have your best performance and not really worrying about the outcome result.
Yeah, that's great. That actually makes me kind of rethink to what you were saying on the run. It's like, does that kind of make, because you said you're looking forward to it, does it make the run less heavy because you don't have to like deal with that on your own because you have that positive feedback?
Yeah, definitely. I think as long as you're just trying to think of something positive, the second something negative comes in, remind yourself of something positive you did. Maybe, oh, remember that amazing run work I did in training. Just remember you did that and try and channel that energy into this run now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now this swim obviously is something you excel at and have shown that year after year. What about this swim course is like different? It's obviously very unique to previous World Championship. And how do you think that suits you, and or what challenges does it provide to you and maybe the other athletes?
Yeah, it's definitely quite a challenging swim. We could get quite a swell. Like the further you swim out, it does get a little bit choppier. It's also slightly more difficult to navigate than the swimming Kona because we've got more turns. It's more of like an M shape. So again, makes it a little bit more interesting. You have to make sure you're sighting where you're going, but also not try to get too stressed about the current or any of the waves because everyone's having to deal with that. So just trying to stay relaxed in that is better than trying to kind of get stressed about it and punch the water. So yeah, just trying to remain relaxed, look where you're going, and again, just sticking to your own pace strategy.
Yeah. Maybe tell us a little bit more on the, I think, again, like Kona's kind of textbook. You get out there and you know what it's going to be, right? Like once you're out a few hundred meters. Here it seems like, and especially probably watching the men's race last year, like the texture of the water changed, the current changed, like every time you're going in and out. How does that, like, talk us through kind of that difference?
Yeah, I think you have to be quite adaptable in the swim here. Like you might start off and it not feel too bad, but I find you actually have to adapt your stroke. If it gets a bit choppier, like you almost have to like lift your arms up a little bit more so they're not getting caught in any of the waves, and you probably have to sight that a little bit more because the chop will come up and you can't see if the buoy's in front of you, so you probably have to sight a little bit more regularly than you would if it was calmer. But yeah, you'll find also that when you swim out it's quite hard because you're going against the waves coming in, but on the way back you go quite fast. So I think it's important to remind yourself if you're struggling on the way out, you're going to have an easier ride coming back in, and then you've got to do that twice. So yeah, just being mindful of that.
Awesome. And you say you kind of do your own pace, but do you still take a cheeky look over when you're doing the turn, kind of the turns in the buoy, like see where people are at? Yeah,
I think you have to just have a little look and just see how it's going. Like I think if you feel like you're not swimming very well and then you see there's a big gap, it's a good confidence boost. But at the same time, if you feel like you're swimming really well and then the girls are right there, I think you just have to be like, well, I still feel like I'm swimming really well. This is all I can do. And at the end of the day, it's a really long race. It's not going to be one in the swim. So yeah, just making sure you're keeping focused.
Right, and similar on the run, like you've had some battles on the run, right? And those battles were a little bit different because there weren't really out and backs. There were 2 out and backs on that course. Talk to us a little bit about how having 7 times essentially looking at your competitors, and what if I know you're focusing on yourself, but if you're like stand a little bit taller or act like you're not breathing so hard, like how's that poker match kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, the run will be extremely positive from having the crowd, but it will also be really intense from having the out and back. Seeing your competitors, eyeing them up, how are they looking, everyone doing their poker face. Like I feel like I've done that so many years in Kona, pretending everything is completely fine, trying to put the game face on even though everything is hurting inside. So I think we're all going to be playing poker on the run.
That's awesome. I love it. What's the winning hand?
It's really difficult to say. I would say obviously the biggest part of this course is definitely the bike course. I think a strong biker will do well, but if they put everything into the bike, then it could really unravel on the run. So yeah, I think we're not going to find out to the race.
The royal flush, that's the winning hand?
It's going to be, I think you have to be a solid all-rounder on this course. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a triathlon, but yeah, I don't think you can put too much into one discipline. You've got to be strong across the board.
Awesome. The motto for this year's race is Nuva Suf, which means new life. Does that speak to you in any way? What does that mean to you coming into this first year for the women's only world champs in Nice?
Yeah, I think Nuva Suf to me means new course. It's the first time women are racing on it. It's the first time I'm racing on it as the reigning world champion, but it's a new course. So yeah, I think it just means giving everything I've got, and if I'm able to deliver here, it's probably going to make me a better athlete and maybe a new and improved athlete at the end of the day.
Awesome. Love talking to Lucy as always. She's always has such a great attitude and so welcoming with the information that she gives us, and just down to earth, but also like you can tell she's very focused and ready to defend that title, and sounds like she's got the prep in to do so. Winning the Ironman here earlier in the year and feeling like the run wasn't that hard, she didn't have to push herself. So it's a warning shot to the ladies out there. But next up, we're going to sit down and chat with previous winner, but not last year, Chelsea Sodaro. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. How long you been in Nice for?
I got here last Wednesday, so 5 or 6 days.
Sweet. And you've spent time here before, yeah?
I raced here in 2019 when 70.3 Worlds was here.
Yeah.
And I did a little course preview that summer. But this is the first time I've been in a while.
It's kind of sweet, right?
It's beautiful.
Do you love it here? No, it's okay.
I love riding my bike here. I think like it's very different than where I'm from, but yeah, I enjoy the cultural experience.
Do you enjoy it? You don't have to. Like my brother's like, where do I find a hamburger? It's like, you can get a hamburger at home, dude. Like, let's eat something else.
No, I love the food. It's a beautiful country, spectacular ocean, so it's great. Yeah.
Are you staying close by, or are you kind of like?
We're in an Airbnb.
Like in Nice?
A little outside of Nice.
Sweet.
Our first Airbnb got trashed, so it got canceled like 3 days before we were supposed to get here.
You guys didn't trash it?
We did not trash it.
Okay. I'm just checking.
No. So we had to like rebook a last minute place. It worked out okay. We have ocean views.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
That's good. Sounds like the bike course is favorite. What's your favorite part about Nice? Is it the Mediterranean? Is it the bike course? Is it the
of the race course or just of the country?
Yeah, just being here.
You know what? I'm like in like totally in race mode when I come to these things.
Oh, okay.
I would say, yeah.
It was great.
I think you were asking my favorite part of Nice,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I would say that when I come to these things, especially when I come in sort of just before the race, I'm like in the work mode.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get a day after. I don't know how this is going to work exactly, but in my mind, in like the 24 hours that I'm here after the race, we're going to go to Monaco or something. I don't know.
Yeah. When
TBD.
do you fly out?
The 24th.
Is that Tuesday?
Yeah. My husband keeps reminding me that my season is not over after this race, but that is not how my brain works. Like, there is nothing for me in my life after the 22nd.
Oh yeah. You gotta have like 24
Like, there's
hours.
nothing. Yeah. There's only 24 hours here afterwards.
Yeah, but you do whatever you need for those 24 hours after World Championship, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
I think so.
do your thing. We'll talk to him.
Talk to
Just gotta chill out just a
that
little
out.
bit.
Just
Come on. I want to get back to that. Nothing happens after race day.
okay.
Me writing notes here. There you go.
Not even looking.
No, it doesn't say anything. It just scribbles.
Are we on? We're on camera right now.
Yeah, totally.
This is part of the interview.
So,
Very serious.
yeah. I see that about you, like being very, very focused. This is like, it's nice to say Nice is great and there's great food, but it's like you're here to win a world championship.
I just had a photographer in Boulder a few days ago, And I could tell he was like a little nervous. And I was like, what did they tell you about me?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And he was like, well, they said you're very serious. And I was like, I am not serious. I just am focused when I need to be.
Different.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm serious. That's hilarious. Yeah, I love that. Did he seem like a little frightened? Or was he just very reserved?
I think Steve had a talk with him before.
Papa Steve.
Steve had a talk that was like, dude, we're gonna need to keep this to like 90 minutes max. And he was like, I think it could take 2 hours. And he was like, 90 minutes max.
She's very serious.
You know what? Like, not to bring up the mom thing again. Again.
Been there.
But I think that when you have a lot of moving parts in your life, you have to be really good at time management. And I don't know if you've ever heard the whole like shtick about how you can only do two or three things well at one time. You know, like you can't have an outrageous fun social life and also like be really committed to your work and your family. And just in this season of my life, I'm really committed to my family and to my work. And maybe that comes across as being like serious, but I have a lot of joy and like the things I do pursue. I just like need to get shit done.
Yeah, that's fair. You protect your time.
Yeah.
I've heard that saying, but for me, it was like one thing half well, is how I was told. But we all have different standards, right? That's great. Interviewing is that thing, so
You're doing
I think
great.
we're right on.
You're doing great.
Half well. But on a serious note, but not serious, you have seems like changed a lot of things since last year. What new coach?
Yeah, I'm not risk averse. I think.
Cool. Yeah. Start it over. Rip it down.
Yeah, and I think I have a lot of curiosity and a lot of belief in my potential and ability, and I just started to sense that I was stagnating a little bit, and I wanted to reach a new level, and I kind of have an idea of what I'm capable of, and I wasn't doing that. And so I kind of like blew up my life a little bit, and we moved, and I hired a new coach, and I made a major sponsor change, and it may look a little rash from the outside, but I think all of my decisions have been very meticulously thought out, and I have a lot of like belief and confidence in the team that I'm working with right now.
That's rad. I mean, is it partly like, and I appreciate that, and that there's only so much time where you have like physically the ability to be at top, so you're like, people might see that as you're saying rash, but it's like, no, this, I can tell this isn't working. I need to like strip it down and start again.
I think a lot of athletes are really afraid to make change, and they maybe get comfortable and they know what to expect in the situation that they're in, and so it's hard to make big changes. But that's never really been a style I've subscribed to, and like so much of why I do this and what keeps me in it is because I really love it and it's fun. And when it was getting to the point where I wasn't having fun and it was hard for me to get fired up to go train, like I knew that there was a problem. And yeah, it's been a really like exciting last 3 months. I think I started working with my new coach Neil Henderson 12 weeks ago, maybe 10 or 12 weeks ago, and he has coached some very accomplished triathletes, but is most known for his kind of cycling coaching prowess. Yeah. And it's been a very cool project to see the new sessions that I'm doing and how I'm improving, and it makes a lot of sense. Like what he prescribes makes a lot of sense. And as somebody who is like a perfectionist and wants to see improvement, like that's been really fun for me, and I love getting out on my bike, and it's been great.
That's huge, because Neil I've always regarded as one of the best coaches, right? And I mean, maybe one of the last triathletes he coached was like Cam Dye, right? Which is forever.
Yeah, I mean, he's coached Cam Dye and Flora Duffy and Taylor Knibb, and so the roster is quite accomplished.
Yeah, but like he doesn't take on many, right? So that's rad that you're able to get him on it. And I think it's one of those, like, I think a lot of the coaches in triathlon like think they've got it figured out, and he's such a like brainiac or nerd, that he's a personality that never thinks he knows everything, right? And that's obviously going to transfer into kind of stuff he's given you.
Yeah, I think so far we've had a very collaborative partnership, and he really takes my feedback on, which I think is important when you're working with an athlete who has been doing this for a long time and has certain understanding of how their body works. And that's like very confidence inducing when they actually listen to what you tell them or how you felt during a session. And something that has been new for me is he's like really held me back. And he always like encourages me to like not push too hard or to not hit the higher end of the prescription or definitely not go over the prescribed session. And that's very different from what I was doing the last 4 years.
Right.
And it's amazing how much more invigorated I feel. And I think honestly, I was like quite burnt out in the middle of this year. And we had to do a little bit of like triage to like rebuild my body and mind. But we all go through these things when we have long careers, and so much of it is enjoying the process, and he's made that really fun for me.
Right. Is part of that burnout just like the challenge of obviously racing early, you know, having some sort of peak early and, you know, one New Zealand, right? Like, was that somewhat expected, or did that kind of take you by surprise?
I don't think so. I really don't think that I was in peak form early this season. I ended my season after Kona last year in October, and so was like eager to get back to work in the winter, but I wasn't peaked for New Zealand, and I think my training block leading into that was 3 or 4 weeks, so I was more like surprised with where I was able to get, you know, like all of these builds, they build on each other, and so, you know, I'm surprised of how quickly I can get to certain fitnesses, but I think that's just because I now have done a few Ironmans, and so I have this kind of like base of fitness. But I think that we often discount like the like mental and emotional stress that we endure as athletes, and I can't like get into a lot of the things that I was going through this year, but I certainly wouldn't wish them upon my competitors or anybody else. And there's a lot of work to be done to, I guess, make sport and the workplace friendlier to women.
Gotcha.
Is what I'll say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, any stress is going to affect an athlete, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that's a stress that's like a guttural stress I can't obviously relate to, but I'm glad you found a way through that. Good on you. Sky is 2 now, is that right?
She's 3.5 now.
That's what I thought. I was given bad information.
It all kind of blends together.
I had said 3 or 4. I thought she was coming tomorrow.
Oh, I wish she was here. I was telling Julie that she's getting really fun now. Like, she's a spicy little lady.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, she's 3.5. It's crazy. It's like another life ago that I was sitting here with you.
Is that harder or easier? Like, is that age, is it just like a constant, like it's always hard, or is there like...
It's just a different hard, I think. Like, she can communicate now, so we know, she can communicate quite well now, so we know what she wants and what she needs at any given time, and she lets us know. But I think it's starting to realize like how much your parenting impacts your children and like their behavior and who you are, and you have to be like really thoughtful about the things you say and do.
Is she very serious like her mother?
She's not very serious, but she has a lot of opinions about a lot of things. Yeah.
What's any examples of like hot takes?
This guy's hot takes. Okay, let me think. We were like a little sick, and she goes, "Mama, remember to take your hydration. Hydration is water and juice, but not at the same time." Like,
she's been sitting in on
that sort of thing, and she's very, very competitive. Like, we do not talk about like winning in our house. Like, we talk about like triathlon in the sense of like, you know, Steve and I are like talking about my aerodynamics or whatever.
As you do.
As you do, because we kind of work together now. But she is very competitive, and if you want her to do anything, you go, I'll race you up the stairs. And she is.
That's hilarious.
Is moving, so.
You got to watch that. My brother, Caden, who you might have seen right now, but when he was young, he was very competitive.
Was he?
Because his dad. And one year at Wildflower, Chris got beat by Macca. And Chris, like, all he wanted to do was hug Caden. He was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
And Kate said, no, you lost. And like, he was crying, he ran away, would not hug his father. So
yeah. We gotta make sure we keep it on a level.
Keep it tight. So Kona last year.
Yeah.
From the outside, you'd be like, oh, that, medium, 6th place. I was there. I know it's more than that. I'm just saying, some people might.
Matt.
That's not me. Some people might, not me. I was lucky enough to be around kind of you as you were running through a lot of the field. So 6th place, maybe not what you would hope for, but like hindsight, has that made you more prepared to win more world championships?
I think it's made me a better athlete. When you're in that kind of position, you really have to fight for it and choose to keep on putting one foot in front of the other. And I think with the level of expectation and kind of pressure going in to that race, I fought through a lot to get to the finish line, and I've never been prouder of a 6th place finish in my life. But it wasn't super fun, and it's one of the performances that I'm most proud of.
Right. I know they're coming in pretty hot. Sounds like you've got a new, this guy, Matt.
Matt was with me last year.
Yeah, he was.
Matt, we started working together in the middle of last year. Here's what I think, actually.
Tell me about it.
I think that when you are pursuing an endurance sport in the right way, there are peaks and valleys, and it's all about seizing your moment when you arrive fit and healthy and ready to go. And that's just not always possible when you're human. And I've had some awesome peaks, and then I've also had some valleys. And one of those valleys brought me to Matt. I got really sick last summer and went through this process of kind of rebuilding my body. And Matt is an amazing strength and performance coach based out of Reno. Right. He's worked really closely with Ben Canute, who put me in touch with him. And Matt has been an awesome addition to my team. He's like Ted Lasso, so he's always very positive. Nice. And is brilliant at what he does. So I'm stoked that he's here with me. I believe you, because have you seen the abs on Canute? Yeah, I know. That guy's ripped. He does all sorts of weird stuff. I know, yeah. What do we call it? Somebody was saying it's ancillary training or something like that? Ancillary training? No, is there he's classified? When I first met Matt, I was like, I'm not going to do any of that band shit. No band shit, Matt. And now I travel with my bands in my carry-on. There you go. You're doing all the band Look how far we've come. That's amazing. Okay, obvious big hole in this race for this year is the fact that Daniela isn't racing. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about how that feels as a competitor, if there's mixed emotions there, and kind of who she is as a legend and what she leaves behind. Yeah, I feel really lucky that I had the opportunity to compete against Daniela. I think she's kind of the undisputed GOAT in our sport. So she's raised the game and made us all take this to a new level, especially on the bike and professionally. So I come to these races because I love to race the best people, and I'm sad that she won't be out there with us, both for me because I think she elevates me, and also for her because I know that she really wanted to have one last big day to celebrate her incredible career. She is just a delightful person and a fierce competitor, and I think that we'll all miss having her around here. Perfect. She will be around for the after parties though, and she nails the after party. Dude, she
She nails the after party.
She does.
Let's not go into detail.
Yeah.
Just,
She does.
No, but she has a good time.
She has a good time.
And
Work hard, play hard.
right.
Yeah.
And is that like people often look at that and will say, oh, well, you didn't win because Danielle was there, blah, blah, blah. But like the years, like, would you have prepared yourself as well when you did win that race in Kona if that bar hadn't been raised, right? Like you knew what you had to do to try to beat Danielle on a good day.
Yeah, and I think that when she is in the race, you know that she's a threat and she could have one of her kind of insane performances. And so you have to be ready for anything, and you have to improve your weaknesses and really build up your strengths and bring the best version of yourself if you want to contend.
Remember at St. George Worlds where people like didn't even mention her?
Yeah. It's so amazing in the sport, I'll tell you. Like when you're doing great for 5 seconds, you get a little bit of, a few pats on the back, but like I'll tell you, when on the day that I won Kona, like people were asking me, when are you going to have another baby? How much longer are you going to do this? When are you going to retire? Literally on the day that I won. So I can only imagine for her, who has like had such a long and prolific career. Probably 5 years ago, people were asking her when she's going to retire, and jokes on them because she's won, I don't know how many world titles since then.
Yeah, the memory is incredibly
We
short.
love to build our athletes up and tear them down, and build them up and tear them down.
Is that hard though as an athlete? Like you had that peak world champion, right?
Yeah.
To not feel that influence a little bit because you're like getting contacted and sponsor support and all that. Is it hard not to like be like, no, I'm the same athlete or better or whatever? Like obviously there's peaks and valleys, but
I think it's really challenging with social media because every, dude in his basement with a laptop can comment on, what he thinks about you and your choices and how you look and your parenting and your whatever.
Right.
But it's a lesson in making your support circle very cohesive and intimate and small, and just taking on the voices who are like really speaking good into your life.
For the record, I do all my trolling from like the porch.
Are you at
Less
least
basement. I have
are
a
you
basement.
at least like, what is it, anonymous poster? You at least use your name?
Oh, no, anonymous for sure. I do it. It's all under Talbot Cox.
Oh boy.
What? I mean, you're being honest and truthful. I'm just gonna go ahead and just be honest with it as well. Okay, let's get back to it. Real stuff. Race course,
Yeah.
serious. Swim, very important in any world championship. Always has been in Kona. You've seen that it go well and maybe not as well.
Mm-hmm.
What is that like first 400 meters like? And especially in this swim, there's a buoy not too far in. Like, what is that scrum like physically, fight wise, and like while trying to focus on where you need to be and the feet you need to be on?
It's a super important part of the race, and I think it can set the tone for your day. And we don't know what the conditions will be like on race morning here. I remember when I raced in 2019, it was super glassy and smooth all of race week, and then on the day it was choppy and kind of gnarly out there. So it's always interesting. Some races you sort of slot in and find your place right away, and then others it takes until the first couple of buoys to settle in and get on the feet. And I think you just have to be ready for anything.
Great stuff coming from Chelsea. She's, as she said, very serious at times, or could come off serious. But obviously, once you get her going, she's hilarious and very open to sharing what it takes to have those highs followed by lows, and great insight from Chelsea. Awesome stuff. And the only person we're having today that hasn't won a world championship, but I'd say she has a pretty good shot at doing so on this course this weekend, and that's Laura Philipp. Okay, we're in Nice. How long you been in town?
So we arrived a week ago. So we live currently up in Vence,
So on the bike course, pretty nice, small town, more up in the mountains. It was pretty good location to do the final sessions on the bike course. The run was a bit hilly though.
Right.
But also nice small pool. But it's great to be back down here on the promenade for the first time actually.
Yeah, so if you're in Vence, it's like, does it not kind of almost feel like a vacation?
It does, to be honest. So I'm glad race week arrived. So my nerves definitely kick in from today on. And it does feel a bit like a workation, let's say it like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, how rad is the riding out here?
Yeah, the riding is simply beautiful. It's just how I would imagine a dream bike course, riding through all the small villages and especially with all the climbing and descending. This is how I love riding. So it's definitely, I think, one of the most stunning courses ever.
And this is a lot closer to home for you, right? So like, do you ever do training camps in this area or different parts of Europe?
I haven't done a training camp here. I came here earlier this year in February to check out the course for a few days. And I think this would definitely be a great location for doing a proper training camp. But we already had a pretty busy race season, so I didn't really have the time to actually schedule like a real proper training camp. But I would definitely recommend it. I think it's great for riding, especially if you prepare for a challenging bike course.
Awesome. And did you bring a bigger crew out because it's closer, or who have you brought out with you?
So for the last week, I stayed with my coach and husband Philipp, and I also brought my own physio with me. So I had a bit of great treatment, and they looked after me and they supported me out on the course. You know, we did a few longer bike sessions to cover the course, and that's always good to have someone at your side looking at you or handing you out drinks and stuff, so you're not making any nutritional mistakes so close to the race. So that was good. And but now I'm also looking forward to more people arriving at race week, so I will definitely have a support crew here, and I'm sure the French people will also be hopefully equal with their support and cheering out on course.
Oh, I'm sure. So seeing that it's more like, feels like more like a workation right now. Is that, have you done any like day trips, or are you being a tourist at all while you're here, since you've been here for a little bit?
I think the cool thing about riding so many kilometers out on your bike is that you're actually kind of seeing what most tourists have to drive for while being out on your bike. So I definitely made sure to stop at some of the small towns. You know, you ride through them and you see like your nose immediately get a sniff of like the great boulangerie smells. So we made sure to stop there and got some pastries and just tried, to also enjoy life, even though we were still training a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so obviously you're setting me up for the question I'm going to ask, but cake is very important to you. I know this. I want to know what the cake situation is in like Vence and Nice, and do you have like a standards? Like, is there different categories? You're like, okay, the filling's got to be right, the crust has to be this. I want to know, and everybody wants to know, what your standards of cake consumption are.
Okay, so I'm definitely a cake specialist. My motto is faster with cake. I believe that, like if you treat your soul also a little bit, you're more happy person, and therefore you will be faster. And in Germany, I'm really deep into cheesecake, apple cake. Okay. That's like some sort of like real cakes. Over here in France, the situation is a little bit different. So if you order a cheesecake, it's not comparable to...
It's not good. It's not good.
Nah, I would, like at least the ones I had, I would not recommend. But one thing I would definitely recommend, like next to, of course, croissants, pain chocolat, which is not really like cake, but could be counted as like a nice sweet treat, is the flan. So the flan is like, I don't know how to describe.
It's like custard, yeah?
Yeah, like it's, I don't know the is it pudding? Pudding?
Yeah. It's like a stiffer pudding.
Yeah, and it's really nice. So I would definitely recommend to try one of those next to the pastries.
Yeah.
Like I don't have like this number one ranking. As long I don't really like the like really fluffy cakes. It should be.
You don't want this like the sponge.
Yeah,
cake, not into
it
that.
should be a bit solid.
Now, do you like in the U.S. we have like German chocolate cake, which is like, and I'm
That
curious,
sounds good.
if it even exists. I think it's like, I think it's got like coconut, but it's like a layered cake.
Okay.
The chocolate. Do you guys? Is that even a thing you guys have?
I mean, maybe you're talking about Schwarzwälder Kirschtorte. It's like with cream and then also cherries.
I don't think there's cherries in it. See,
Okay.
Americans, we just make stuff up.
But then you have New York cheesecake. This is something I would like.
Yeah, you like New York cheese?
Yeah.
That's good. So when you're in France, the cake, not recommended, but
The flan though, yeah.
flan is good.
Yeah.
Chocolate croissant's good. What else do you like? For me, like the pizza here is actually amazing. That's like kind of what I go for. Gluten-free pizza is like kind of top notch. Anything else that you like?
Yeah, I think you can find really nice food. Also the quiche, like at the bakeries with like vegetables, they're really nice. And yeah, pizza is also really great. And then, yeah, just I think they eat lots of vegetables like artichokes, and you can cook them, you know, and set up great dinners. We cooked a lot over the last week and tried to just buy local stuff that looked good, and then try to be creative in the kitchen. And honestly, when I was out on the bike course, I always had so much of my race nutrition with me, you know, to still keep on practicing and getting my gut used to all the carbs. So when we stopped, I was actually mostly craving something salty. So I tried a lot of the quiches and pizzas. They were quite good.
That's awesome. Love it. That's what everybody wants to know. They don't want to know about tactics. They want to know about what the cake is like.
Will you hand out croissants on the race course?
I will get some croissants and I'll have those, hand them off the motorcycle maybe. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about like how different is it for you being from Europe, obviously, and like doing a world championship that you don't have to do. Like North Americans, we completely take for granted the chaos of that travel for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how different is that for you just to like, did you drive, take the train, whatever, like to get here, and it's much calmer, right?
Yeah, it's so much easier to have the World Champs so close to home. I think one of the biggest differences was actually that I was able to do my final big training camp at St. Moritz at high altitude, and I was able to bring my dog, and you know, we could drive there, bring like all the stuff that made me feel good, like bring different bikes, for example. I still trained a lot on my road bike, for example. And you know, for Kona, I always only had the chance, you know, to bring one bag and one bike, so you're very limited in what you can bring. So that definitely helped to feel relaxed and good. And then also to come here to Nice, we were also able to drive here. So we packed the car like full under the roof.
Did you bring the dog?
No, unfortunately
Oh.
not, because he loves colder conditions,
Okay.
and I thought it could be quite hot here. So
Yeah.
we left him with my parents. But yeah, it's cool that you know, all the Americans and other internationals have to do the big travel and be limited in their what they can bring and stuff, and have the jet lag and so on. So I definitely feel like this is a nice advantage this time on our side, and then also, you know, just be in Europe. It just feels more familiar to me, and also the riding. Of course, I don't have climbs and descents like this where I live, but still, it's more similar to the roads I'm used to. So that's definitely a great feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, for you coming into a world champs, like you specifically, like Kona is always same thing, and it's like, what's the gap out of the water, and everybody's in a group. Like, how much more confident are you coming into a race course where that's not as big a deal, and you get to kind of shine maybe more, right?
Yeah, I think what I'm really excited about is that deficit out of the swim is probably not as important as it would be in Kona. Last year in Kona, I kind of missed the big pack, and then I had to ride really hard to catch up with the group, because if you're not in the group, I think your chance of a podium spot is gone. So that's definitely tougher in Kona, and right now I'm just guessing how it would be on this course, but of course I assume that it will be a bit easier to make up gaps, and yeah, this will hopefully play into my cards that of course I'm planning and hoping to have a good swim, but even if something goes wrong, the race is not over. There's still plenty of time to make up on those, on this bike course.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it seems like, I don't want to use the word, I'm going to use the word finally, because I know that you expected and hoped for a podium at World Champs before last year, but you did finally get that, and we all knew you were capable of it. Does that allow you to kind of get the monkey off your back? I don't know if you guys have that saying, and be able to think, okay, this is my opportunity to win a World Championship?
I'm definitely really proud of the podium in Kona, because I think, the course and the race dynamics and stuff, they're not really playing into my strengths and weaknesses. So it definitely means a lot to still grab that final podium spot. But yeah, for sure, I do see this race here as a great opportunity to maybe even do better. I think this course requires a lot of strengths and skills that I maybe have in my toolbox. I hope to have them in there. And yeah, I definitely, if I look or if I compare those two races, I would definitely say this course here would probably suit a Laura Philipp a lot better.
Rad. And I think, I see you as one of the best runners in the sport, obviously, but more on rolly, tough terrain. I remember the Chattanooga where you kind of came to the front of the scene. But this course still, I think, maybe suits, but tell me if it suits a runner like you, because the bike is so hard. Kona's hard, but this bike is way different. How much does that then favor a good runner like you on a fast run course like this?
So what I think everyone has to spend a certain energy on this bike course. It's not like you can just spend some time in a group and save some energy. I think everyone, has to get up those hills. So we will all feel it in our legs. And to be honest, I love flat running. I do a lot of hilly runnings in training, but if I could choose, I would definitely choose a flat run. I think it's easier. Probably, I know it has a lot of impact on the muscles, and rolling run courses can also be fun, and they also suit me. But I'm looking forward to a flat course. I think it can be a lot harder on the legs, and this could also be an advantage for better runners.
Awesome. Okay, I want to know. You guys are kind of workations, still chill. You don't have the pup, so that's challenging. But is it how do you and your husband balance you being a husband-wife situation and then a coach situation? Are there times where you're like, okay, time out, I need you to just be a coach right now, or I need you to be a husband? How do you guys balance that?
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky one, and we do have our discussions, or sometimes need to remind ourselves, okay, now we need some privacy here, and let triathlon be triathlon. But at the same time, I think the advantages overweigh the difficulties, right? So it's so good to have him with me all the time, and he can just look into my eyes every morning and make last minute changes to my training, and sometimes I think he knows me better than I know myself, so he definitely helps me to make smart decisions on the daily basis, and obviously I trust him 100%, and that's really, I think, cool for coach-athlete relationship. You need to have that trust, and I know he supports me, all the time, and sometimes it's tough for me to actually feel like we are keeping a balance, so that also I am giving back something to him. And yeah, it's definitely, you need to be sensitive and always, take care of each other, also as partners. But yeah, so far we are enjoying it, and but we already said, you know, this season is so intense. We definitely need to also plan like a proper off season where we're not talking about triathlon.
I think that's probably smart. So that's probably a smart idea.
I hope so.
That's great. Okay, so just not too long ago, we heard the news that Daniela wasn't going to race here. What did that? I'm sure there were, negative emotions with that and positive emotions maybe. Like I would never want to have to race her for a world championship, right? But yeah, so what is that? How did that affect your lead up, or like what emotions you have going into this race, knowing that you don't get to race Daniela anymore?
So we were actually both at St. Moritz, I think, when she also published this decision. For me, it's honestly also only negative. Like I'm sad. I think it would have been amazing to race her here for a final time, and I'm also sad for her that she can't have like this final chance to race at the World Champs. And I think she would have been like one of the big favorites for this race course, for this race. And yeah, she has lifted and elevated female racing over the years, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's like super thankful of everything she has done for our sport and also shown us what's possible. So I'm definitely, super bummed to miss another opportunity to race against the GOAT.
We may want to revisit it. Yeah.
We need to redo it.
Yeah, it's fine. Just that last little bit. Yeah, tell us what like she brought to the sport and why it's a bummer that she doesn't get that last chance for herself.
Yeah, I'm really bummed for Daniela that she has to miss this race or doesn't get the opportunity to end her phenomenal career at this stage. I think this race would have been, like an amazing closing to like one of the greatest careers ever in this sport. And she has done so much for female racing and has shown us what's possible. She pushed her boundaries, I think the boundaries of the competitors. And it's not too long ago, just a few years ago, I was able to defeat her in Dubai. And I remember, this was definitely like a really special moment for her. She's been like the greatest and the strongest. And there was definitely a little bit of a mental breakthrough for me, to know, okay, I can do this. And I would have loved to race her again on this course, which is probably also made for her as well.
What is so important? We've talked about you and your breakthrough at Chattanooga for World Champs way back in the day, and your couple just off podium finishes in Kona and how difficult those were, and then your podium finish. Like, why is World Championship, why does that moniker mean so much to an athlete?
Well, the World Champs is usually the one day in a year where everyone comes at their peak fitness, and it's like such a special event, and you want to be there in your best possible shape. And in the past we always met in Kona at very special conditions, and it was just so such a sorry, I think we need to redo this.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm not sure if I actually understood your question 100%.
Yeah, just why the World Championship is so important to an athlete, just having that title or fighting for the title.
Well, the World Champs, is the best athletes at one day, and you're not having too many opportunities in your career to actually fight for the win. So every year you want to make sure to be at this one race at the day in your peak fitness, and to get everything together, to be able to show your best is very special. And to come away with the title, I think, is everyone's dream. And I guess we are doing this at very nice and beautiful locations. So overall, it just makes it like super special.
Yeah, and World Championship, obviously, like for everybody that doesn't win a World Championship, it's not like you're necessarily like going to look back at your career and be like, I never won a World Championship. But if you have it, it changes how people look at your career and maybe how an athlete looks at your career. Is that true? Does it have, like, is there a part of you that like really wants to check that box for that reason?
Of course, I think it is life-changing if you're Ironman World Champion, but at the same time, it's only one person that can actually claim the title in every year. So, you know, I look at it like if that would happen, this would mean like the world to me. It would be like my biggest dream come true. But at the same time, it's also about the journey and enjoying the successes you already had. And it's not something you can actually plan. You know, there are so many great athletes out there and they're all aiming for this one goal. And I think so many things have to come together, especially if you look at my way into the sport and where I am in my career now. It's not like the typical professional sports career, or like I don't have like, you know, this background in one of the three sports. So if this would actually, you know, if I could actually win a Ironman World Championship title, I think there have to be a lot of things coming together. Also luck. And next to, like, of course, an Uber day. It would be the biggest dream come true, but it's not that I couldn't find any joy in my life if it doesn't happen in my career.
Yeah, of course. So this course offers a lot of challenges, and you've, to me, stood out as an athlete that has learned, like penalty in Kona a few years ago, to step up to challenges and to respond to those challenges well. Tell us a bit about how on this course you're certainly going to get faced with challenges you did and didn't expect, and how you feel like you can adapt to those and what it takes to adapt to those challenges.
Yeah, I think one of the key skills you need to have as an athlete is to be adaptable to the situation. And there are so many unknown things that can happen. And you mentioned the penalty I got 2 years ago in Kona. It was a big setback for me in the race. I knew my chances for the podium are like super, super small. And but it's also those situations that teach you that it's always worth fighting, you know, till the end. And I think especially with a course like here in Nice, there are so many unknowns just from the course and the descents and the climbs, and also maybe the weather conditions that can play a factor and maybe create setbacks that, to be honest, I'm just trying to rely on the toolbox I have. I know, you know, over the years there are also some more mental skills in there, not only physical skills. So hopefully I can be so present in the moment and always stay positive that I can make the best out of every situation and try to give everything until the finish line.
Yeah, and what did you learn specifically about that process in Kona? Like, you were very close to the podium still, right? Like, you did better than probably you thought you would in that moment when you had that penalty. What did you learn? Like, what tools did you gain to be able to adapt further when, like, if you get a flat tire, you know, drop a chain, all those things that can happen?
I think it's the most important tool is probably to get your emotions under control in that specific moment. So I think number one is accepting the situation, if it's like a mechanical or a penalty or something else. And then breathing always helps, like take a deep breath and then refocus and, you know, maybe come up with a plan B or C. So I also think it's important to visualize before the race a few scenarios that could happen. Of course, now I know, you know, it's possible I get a penalty. So how do I handle the situation then? And I think, you know, just thinking about what could happen and how you could handle this situation will make you feel more relaxed and confident in this specific moment. And an Ironman is such a long day, so I think it's always worth trying to get back into the race mode and keep on pushing. I think especially with someone like my strengths and weaknesses, you know, I'm looking forward to the bike and the run. So if something happens on the bike, I know there's still like a marathon to come. So it's plenty of time to give 100% and to keep on pushing. And I think especially at a World Championship race, you want to finish and you want to give everything. So I don't see like a scenario other than maybe like a major crash that could stop me from, you know, trying to get as far up in front as possible.
Yeah, and knowing that you are going, I assume, to try to win the race and you want to get that world championship, the first time you're going to see these athletes really for the most part is on the run on that first out and back, and that's, you know, the strength for you, right? What is your mindset when you hit that run course and know this is your strength? You love running flat courses. This is your wheelhouse. What's your mindset of when you're trying to chase down those people that are the ones that can take that win from you?
So I think, first of all, I would go into this chasing mindset on the bike. And we also have the turnaround point on the bike. So I think it will be possible to get a bit of information out on the bike course already. But then I think a 4-loop run course is something special for a World Championship race. So Kona is so different. And I think it can actually go into two directions. So if I'm feeling well on the run, I think it's super motivating to see where others are and if, you know, you're actually gaining or losing time. But I think if you're not having a good day on the run, then it can also be quite tough, especially mentally, if you see that, you know, you might be losing time. But then there's no hiding on this run course. And also I'm expecting a lot of spectators out on the course. This will be very different to Kona as well. And this is usually something that really gives me energy, and hopefully I can use that, you know, to find an extra gear if needed.
And is that always a positive? Like for you, will you have to like hold back, like ignore the crowd a little bit and their positivity, or is it like more the better?
I think it will be challenging, but then on the other side, here in Nice, I'm looking forward to it because I think, you know, the climate conditions are not as challenging as in Kona. So in Kona, you really have to hold back, especially in the beginning where it's really difficult because people are going crazy. And here I feel like even though I might go too fast, it won't be, you know, coming back to me in the further end because I'm kind of used to it. I love to start too fast and usually kind of find my rhythm. And I think if people are just there giving you cheers like constantly, I think it's just positive.
That's awesome. Perfect. Obviously, competitors are part of the race, right? As much as we want to be thinking about our race, you have to beat some incredibly talented women out here. If you're envisioning, or do you envision battles? And if you're envisioning someone that you're battling, you're chasing, or trying to stay away from on the run, who is at the top of your mind on this course, and what are the pivotal points you think for you and that specific person or people?
So I think there are quite a few athletes who can have like a really good race here. And interestingly, they're not, it's also the same ones that you would probably have in Kona pretty much. So I think, yeah, just further world champions like former world champions like Anne Haug, Chelsea, they're both like super lightweight, and I'm sure they can do very well on this bike and run course. And then also Kat, a super strong rider, and yeah, unfortunately no Daniela. But then I think the beauty is also that we will probably see a few athletes that we didn't have on our top of the list because this bike course is so different. So of course I'm probably in my mind focusing more on the faster bike runners, and yeah, my dream scenario obviously would be to have a bit of a lead going into the run. I think that would be just so cool because you can just start at your own rhythm and pace yourself a bit better. But yeah, I'm also preparing for something tight and running next to each other, maybe run battles or even battling on the bike. I forgot to mention Lucy, of course. I mean, she will be up in the front, and I mean, she has shown that she can win this race, not as the world champs, but on this course. So yeah, it's super tough to predict, but I think that's also the beauty of this edition, that it might be completely different than we think. But yeah, I think just the usual suspects, you know, they will also be good on this course.
Perfect. The motto for this year's race is a Nouveau Souffle, which means new life. What does that mean to you coming into this race, this women's only race on Sunday?
So new life for this edition means for me that this is actually the first time that the women are racing in Nice. And yeah, it's just a lot of first times, you know. We have no idea how this race will play out, and I just see it as like the once in a lifetime new opportunity also for myself to have the world champs at a course like this.
Love Laura. Obviously, I was most excited about the cake content. She always brings good cake content. So looking forward to sitting down and having some light snacks with Laura after a race on Sunday. But keep an eye on this space. We got more special podcasts coming out this week to get a little bit more behind the scenes and let you feel more what's happening on a race week. But appreciate, obviously, always the support by Morton. We couldn't do the Ironman Insider podcast, obviously, without them. But stay tuned. A lot more coming at you from Nice, France this week.